Hey guys, this is Lior with Angle Volkers. Hope it's going well. I'm standing right outside of a condo building where one of my clients just closed on their first investment condo, and I thought I would just share their journey because it was a long one. So basically they reached out to me and they had two goals, right? I mean, they had two criteria for their investment condo. They knew that they were both working professionals and they had younger kids, so they didn't want to buy something that would take too much of their time. They didn't want to deal with too many tenant management issues, property management, all that. It wasn't for them. And the second thing they wanted to do was invest in a submarket in Boston that they found that they think would have good growth opportunity in the future. I mean, they've seen what Boston has done as a market, so they, within the last few years, so they wanted to find a place where they thought would keep growing for the next, 5 to 10 years, and that's where they wanted to park their money. So after we did that, after that, they kind of tried to figure out, all right, where do we want to invest? So, they thought about a couple of places, for example, like Waltham, right, which has experienced so much new commercial and residential development over the last few years. They looked at places like Brighton and Alston, which has a lot of student rentals, a lot of young professional rentals, but ultimately what they really wanted to look at was property in Malden. And for them, it was just thinking, look, Malden has had a huge boom in real estate. I mean, it's been one of the hottest markets for the last couple of years in the country. And it's on the Orange Line, so they really liked the fact that it was on the Orange Line, so they could attract people that potentially work downtown and wanted to live a little bit outside for affordability reasons. So now we're in the unit that the guys actually bought, and I thought I'd focus on a few things that actually happened during the transaction. There's a few issues. So first, was actually getting the offer accepted on this property. Because like I said, Malden has been one of the hottest markets in the country, and it still is extremely competitive for buyers to get into. So when we were negotiating with the seller, it was really important for the buyers to balance negotiation on the price as well as negotiation on the terms, right? Because even though the seller obviously wanted the highest price, we also had to balance other terms like how much money we put down in purchase and sales, right? Because we didn't necessarily have to play all the cards on the price, or we can kind of improve little things like putting more money down at purchase and sales, which made the offer look stronger compared to other offers that the seller had. So even though it took a couple of rounds of negotiation, we were able to kind of play other cards besides the price game to kind of lock this unit up for them at a price that they felt good at. Now, during the transactions, there's still a few other issues that popped up. One of the issues that came up, which is a little bit more unique to buying investment property, was this unit was actually rented out, when it was put on the market by the previous landlord. And what ended up happening was a few weeks before closing, the tenant decided to leave, right? So obviously that impacted the buyers quite a bit, right? Because they thought that they were buying into this unit that was already rented on a lease for full market value. They're basically buying a turnkey operation, but all of a sudden the tenant says, nope, I'm out, and they're basically buying a vacant unit without that income stream. So like any seller would, they didn't really want to deal with it. They didn't really want to negotiate with the buyer. They said that's kind of your fault. But obviously there had to be some sort of agreement and some sort of compromise because that impacted the buyer's financials quite a bit. So what ended up happening was we actually negotiated a full month of rental credit for the buyer to compensate the buyer on that loss of the tenant, which was a pretty good deal for them. And then the other issue that came up, this happens every so often, is the appraisal issue. The bank underappraised this by a couple of $1,000s, which is rare, right? I mean, if it's an underappraisal, it's usually pretty significant. But they only underappraised it by a couple of $1,000s, and again, the seller said, look, I mean, I don't want to deal with this, I'm not negotiating. So again, we kind of had to spin the wheels, talk to the seller a lot, and eventually we ended up on a compromise with the seller on negotiating the discrepancy between the appraised value so that the buyer didn't have to make it all up in cash. So now, now they closed on it. Now my job is to get this thing rented out for them for market value, which we should be able to do pretty quickly. And overall, once it's rented, the buyer should be able to cash flow about $100, maybe $200 a month. Nothing significant, but again, that wasn't really the play for them. I mean, it wasn't a cash flow play. It was more of they had money that they wanted to invest in the Boston market, which they've seen explode the last couple of months. So they chose one of the you know, a very highly growing submarket, Malden, which they believe will keep growing. So, you know, as long as they don't lose money every month, they believe their investment is going to come out on the back end, and that's where they'll make their money. So obviously I'm extremely stoked, I'm extremely happy for them. I think they bought an awesome unit, and hopefully they do well with it.